Hey guys, welcome to the 330 Sports Show. My name is Justin Coffin, and today is Thursday, November 11th, 2021. A very happy Veterans Day to all those who serve out there. We appreciate you guys today and every day. Thank you for all you do for our country and for our freedoms. I want to tell you about today's show, what we're going to get into, and I'll introduce our guests here in a second. On today's show, we're going to be talking a lot of Buckeyes, a lot of Browns, and we'll talk about some of our local high school football teams as they enter the third weekend of the OHSAA playoffs. We're going to do all those things today and talk about our guest here that I'm going to introduce right now. His name is Gary Housteau. So, Gary, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. And for all the veterans out there, we appreciate your service.
Absolutely. So Gary is kind enough to come down and join us. Gary and I guess how I met you, you were doing photography when I was coaching a little bit, and then, and we kind of connected on Facebook, and, I've kind of followed your story ever since. So, before we get into the sports aspect of things, Gary, for anyone that might not be familiar with you, or maybe that is familiar with you but doesn't know your whole story, why don't you share your story a little bit? And I know that's a loaded question, but
it is a loaded question. I guess take it back from the beginning. In 2017, I was having a lot of pains in my stomach, and it was near the basketball state tournament every March, and getting ready to go down there, and everybody's trying to get me. Well, you should go get a check before you go, because when I go to state tournaments, I'm there for 3 days, and I'm sitting on the hardwood mostly, and 12 games in 3 days isn't really a picnic. But,
no,
it's fun, but it's very taxing. And I go, well, I decided I better go. I'll go to emergency like everybody's asking me to, and I'll get some medicine, and then I'll go to do my state tournament. Well, I got in there. They did an MRI, and they told me I'm not going to any state tournament. They're admitting me, and I guess I had a very big concern on the MRI. And the next day, I did an emergency colonoscopy, which I was 52 at the time, and I never had a colonoscopy. So if you're in that age limit, don't wait till it's too late, like I did. And they looked at, and I went in emergency surgery, had an emergency colonoscopy. I wake up from that, and the doctor, Dr. Yvonne, great doctor locally in this area, and the nurse, we have a battle. You have cancer, and we had a battle, and that's just when I woke up from my colonoscopy. So next day, I have surgery. They removed part of my colon. I had a colostomy bag for 13 months, and that's no picnic in itself.
Sure.
Regardless, even if you're doing nothing, of course, I'm kind of active. And I never missed a football game at Ohio State that year, 2017, which was very challenging, to say the least, because you have no control over a colostomy bag. You just have to prevent very bad things from happening. And,
yeah, sure.
And sometimes they kind of happen, and you kind of just do your thing. And so eventually in 2018, I got that reversed, and I still had to. I was in remission twice now, and then the third time, one they cut out my cancer the first time, and then I've had radiation. I've had every single thing possible. It traveled to my liver. So I've been stage 4 cancer for 4.5 years now. And when it happened, my daughter was a sophomore at Boardman High School, and I was a proud Boardman Spartan at the time, and my only goal was to see her graduate, and she was a sophomore, and I had good 2 years to wait on that, and I made it. And so I consider now I'm on borrowed time. I the Lord granted me my wish. I just wanted to see my daughter graduate from high school, and she did. And lo and behold, she went on to the Ohio State University, which I had nothing to do with other than present some options to her. And if she had her druthers at the time, she probably would have went to USC. Thankfully, she didn't, because she's into acting, and then she was accepted in the very prestigious school out there in USC. And it was kind of this big decision to turn it down for her, because that was her dream. Because I remember telling me when she started, she goes, "Dad, Ohio State's not my favorite school," And I said, "That's fine. You got to do what's best for you."
Right.
It worked out great, because she's here, she's home, she's in Columbus, she's a junior now, and I'd love to see her graduate from the Ohio State University. But You know, Justin, I made peace with the Lord, and I'm ready. Whatever function I'm blessed to do, I give it 100%. And the good times are great. I always try to
Mhm.
have a smile on my face, but the bad times are kind of bad. But what do you do? That's what
Right.
people say. Whatever. I'm just trying to survive. It's 4.5 years, and I've been a little bit more healthy. I exercise, I always have. That's one thing in my favor. Now I'm just able to do a lot better than, you know. I try to eat right. I don't all the time, obviously. But I'm just trying to live life, and then day by day, and whatever happens, happens at this particular point. I'm blessed to do what I do. You've seen it firsthand, and I get I go to the best high school football games. I cover the state tournaments and football, basketball, and track every year. I'm 21 years, haven't missed a home game covering the Buckeyes except for 3 last year because of COVID, and they alternated photographers. Senseless thing when there's nobody in the stadium, but
Sure. Right.
you play by the rules, and when you're a credentialed photographer, you play by the rules, and
Mhm.
I always do anyway. So,
Mhm.
I went to the Nebraska game last year. It was kind of like watching the Twilight Zone in living color.
I'm sure.
We had cardboard fans in the stands, and restricted areas. Oh, wide open stadium, but yeah, stay in these areas.
Mhm.
You might get a wind blowing in your face that has COVID. I don't know. But you cover your mask, and at the time, and even outdoors, you had to have a mask on.
Sure.
But I've been blessed. I've seen the best football games in Ohio Stadium the last 21 years, and I don't think many people can say that. So it is what it is. I just got lucky at the right time. Coach Tressel, President Tressel at YSU right now was just taking the job at Ohio State, and I did some. I'm going on and on here, but
No, you're fine.
I
This
did
is
some
great.
work with Buckeye Sports Bulletin at the time, doing recruiting stuff from up
Yeah.
here and sending them stuff. And lo and behold, when they needed somebody, and Tressel, hey, want to come down and shoot a game? That's sure, and it's what 21 years later, and other than last season, I haven't missed a home game. That's one of my proudest things because I've, colonoscopy, or
Mhm.
I mean, I had a colostomy bag, and it hasn't been easy over the years, but to answer the bell is something I'm kind of proud of, and hopefully I can do it. I mean, my dream is to see Notre Dame at Notre Dame, and that's 2 years from now. So,
Mhm.
next year at home, I'll take that
Yeah, all
if
right.
I'm lucky. And then right now it seems I'm okay, but I'd love to be at the Notre Dame Ohio State game at Notre Dame in 2020, whatever, 2 years from now,
Mhm.
and so that's it. I'm just trying to live life. I do what I do, and I got some good people in my life that have been very supportive, and I just try to do the best I can. You wake up and thank the Lord every day, and you go to bed thankful you made another day, and you try to impact lives along the way. And photography's been great, man. I kind of stumbled into it. My brother Chuck, who's deceased from, he had a heart attack 10 years ago now, in November of 2010, and uh, he was more of a writer, and my brother Ray was more of a photographer starting out. And I was kind of just like a little cub writer starting out with the Vindicator in '86 after I graduated, just doing some part time stuff
Mhm.
while I was home. And you start doing pictures because you get paid to do pictures and write a story. And I've been with a couple different organizations over the time, so I kind of just became a hack photographer for a while. And when I got sick, I just started to try to really take it seriously because you're not promised tomorrow, as everybody knows that,
No
and
doubt.
everybody tells me I understand that more than anybody. We're not promised tomorrow, but my odds are a little bit better because of my situation that I'm not promised tomorrow. And so right now, you know, back in August 9th, I was doing one of my Monday appointments after my last MRI, and the doctor told me I have 3 to 6 months to live. And when the doctor looks at you in the eye and tells you have 3 to 6 months to live, um, you say thank you, and go to the chemo room,
Right.
and get your medicine, and then you worry about tomorrow. I
Right.
mean, and tomorrow's too. I tell people it's too scary. I mean,
Mhm.
and sad. I see myself not there and all these future things. Sometimes it's better to just go, and but I've been, it's a blessing, and it's been the worst thing, and it's been the best thing for me because the amount of love and support and I mean, how many people tell you that you're awesome like every day of your life
Right.
almost, and I know they're just, you know, there's a lot of meaning behind it, obviously, but it's overwhelming to be honest with you, and I try to handle it the best I can. I try not to make a story out of it. I'm comfortable kind of doing this, but hey, it is what it is, and
Hmm.
we're here to. It's a sports show, but
Now, you know
and
what though? You're just listening and hearing your story, and like I said, we kind of connected back when I coached, and we always think of day to day in the coaching world or playing sports as like life and death, and I think this gives it true perspective of it's a game. We're out here to have fun. Are there are there some days that are harder than others? Yes, but in the real grand scheme of things, it's it's about the people it brings in your life. It's not a it's not a life or death thing, and what you're talking about and what you're dealing with in a day to day basis puts that in perspective.
and when you look at me, boy, photography has been so great to me. And look at the people that I've met. I consider
Hmm.
like Ted Ginn Sr. one of my best friends. I would have never met Ted Ginn Sr. if I wasn't involved in sports and photography.
Hmm.
And I was on the Glenville train in 2000, right in the beginning.
Yeah,
I was there for the pipeline. I was there for everything. And I'm not taking this isn't a racial statement at all, especially in this. I was like one of the only white guys around
sure,
the whole place for years. There was
right.
a coach or two that came and gone, and that doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying they treated me great. Ted Ginn, everything he's done for kids and his players and inspired people because he was staged. He was in trouble. He had what's the bad cancer? I can't think of it right now. He had 5% chance of living
Oh
and
wow. Okay.
pancreatic cancer,
Okay.
and that was before he had his before I had mine. So he's been a cancer survivor with less than 5% chance to
Wow.
survive, and he's in remission. He was on his deathbed. I haven't been that close to being on my deathbed that I know of. I guess my numbers were pretty bad before I learned them because I didn't want to know, and that was kind of a funny thing in itself when I was told that. Um, my daughter was with me and the doctor, and both of them know I don't want to know the bad news because I will. At the time I thought I'd just quit and give up. So for longest time I just don't want to know the bad news. Just tell me, do I need to chemo or not, or do I need to this or and finally, they were in the room after the last, in August, and she came with me because we knew, it was kind of an important appointment. And they're
Sure.
kind of talking and go, "Hello, I'm in the room," and well, they don't want to talk about. Well, okay, so what is the deal? And he goes, "Well, are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, you have 3 to 6 months to live." And maybe if we do this therapy here, we could maybe have another 3 to 6 months. So I've reached the bottom part of that, whether it's 6 to 12 months now or whatever yardstick you want to use. I hope they keep moving the goalposts back, but it is what it is, Justin. I'm at, I by the grace of God, go. I hate that you keep using, if you read a lot of my stuff,
Hmm.
but it's just, what do you have if you don't have faith in something?
Right.
Some supreme being, somebody, because it's a lot of dark moments. If cancer people and some of the stuff they go through, the hardest times when you're alone, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. And that's why I try to stay as active as I can because, and now, it gets dark 5:30. That's not good for
Right.
the mental aspect of it as
Hmm.
well. So now we got basketball coming up. So
Hmm.
I'll be busy sitting in my chair on the baseline, hopefully, as long as the Lord allows me and doing what I do. But yeah, when somebody looks you in the eyes, like right now,
Hmm.
they tell you, you have 3 to 6 months to live. You start kind of making sure my daughter knows all my passwords
Right.
and all the I get to plan for that a little bit. Some people just go, and
So
so I look at it as a blessing as well as a curse.
what I will say though is, it sounds like, you've kind of made your peace with it. However,
Yes.
you live every day to the best of your ability, and you take that out there and you give to others too. If you guys are able to, and I see someone already wrote in, Gary on Facebook wrote in and said hi, Gary. But
I
if you don't follow Gary on Facebook, give him a follow. He does amazing photography. Like you said, you do all the Ohio State Buckeye games. You do countless high school football games, and basketball's coming up. Hopefully we're going to
Yeah.
see you in Indianapolis with at
Yeah.
the Big Ten title game,
And
maybe,
further.
and further. Yeah. So, and but I love what you're already doing. You're already setting, and this is, again, I don't want to compare sports to what you're dealing with, but in the sports world, we set little mini goals, and you hope to achieve those, and that's sort of what you're doing. But you're along those lines. Like you said, your daughter's Chloe, correct?
Yeah.
So, like, you wanted to see Chloe graduate. You got there. You beat that. You're on to the next goal, and on to the next goal, and along those lines, you're helping other people. You're sharing your gift, your skill with other people.
The thing with that, and uh, people, everybody knows somebody has cancer. I'm
Mhm.
nobody special. It's just that, the it's just started off informing the people that it was the easiest way to inform people, and
Sure.
then it just started going. And I'm a writer by trade. I guess I put sentences together pretty well, and try to articulate my beliefs pretty well. And
Mhm.
and I don't know. People say I help people, I inspire people. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to. I've never followed a guy dying of cancer before myself, so this is new for me too.
Mhm.
I just happen to be the one giving the information, and so it's kind of interesting. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, geez, uh, but people, first thing they say is, you look great, and I say thank you, but it is what it is, and I just try to, the morning's the hardest part for me because you get going. It's the
Mhm.
hardest part for me to get going in the morning, and but once you do, and a lot of little side effects I have that again that you just deal with and make sure you take care of each day, each morning
Mhm.
before you even leave the house sometimes. And it's kind of hard when you go to Columbus on 7 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
I got to do things before I can even leave, whereas before I just take a shower, have a car packed and ready to go.
Mhm.
Takes me now, you got to, but it is, I'm, I'm on my way to Columbus, whatever it takes,
Exactly.
and then after the game, I'll spend some time with my daughter and her roommates, and we'll have some fun, and I'll head home so I don't have to drive tomorrow before the Browns start
Right, right.
on the following day. So
Yeah.
that's usually my routine. I usually come home after even if it's a late game, like it was Penn State was a night game.
Mhm.
When I was done, I just got in the car and get home 2:30 or whatever, and that way I'm home. I get in my bed and wake up, and the thing about photography is when the game's over is when your work really starts.
Sure.
Sure, I got the best seat in the house, or one of them. I'm always in the end zone. If you're ever down on the Buckeye game, wherever Ohio State's coming, I sit in the end zone.
Okay.
You got to hopefully get lucky. Sometimes I'm real lucky. I get every touchdown. Sometimes it's on the other side of the field.
Mhm.
But as long as they're coming, the sacks are facing you. If they're on defense, or interception returns are coming at you. So you sit in the end zone, we're facing Buckeyes, and you switch every quarter. Not like high
Okay.
school where you just try to get the best shot, because you got, but it's better that way because you
Sure.
can see the Ohio State. You just sit there and with the lens I have, you can see the whole field and you get what you need.
Do you have
So
a favorite side? Do you like you know, taking pictures from the horseshoe side or the close side?
well, I guess when you're sitting in the south end zone, the
Mhm.
lighting's always going to be better, especially if it's a day game, because you're facing the light. If you're in the north end zone, because the light usually is right uh, over the scoreboard in
Yeah,
that
right.
area in the south end zone. So usually, if it's a day game, your pictures, the lighting is going to be different than if you're in the end zone facing the north. You'll have the sun behind you, and then you could set and almost flawless what you put your settings on.
Okay.
For that's easy to say when you've done it a while, but yeah, and people out there shoot don't shoot an automatic because you'll get some good shots, and that's what I used to kind of do as well, or sports mode. If you want to be a serious about it, you learn how to use the manual stuff. But that's the whole. Your pictures will get a lot better, but that's a whole nother topic. But
Okay.
if you sit in the south end zone, usually have better light if it's a day. At night, it don't matter because it's
Mhm.
beautiful out. The lighting's even, and
Mhm.
the red out was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know how great it looked, great on TV, but
Yeah.
being at the Penn State whiteout for many years, there's nothing like it. My best college experience is in Happy Valley, without question. Number
Okay.
two is in Wisconsin
Okay.
for the jump round. That's incredible. I mean, that you can almost move. You
Yeah, they
feel it.
say the
It's
stadium actually
crazy,
shakes.
And I was at the game when Terrell Pryor, they were number one, I think, in the country. They played Wisconsin. It was a night game, It was the first time I was in Wisconsin, and they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I don't know if you remember that. I just remember because it was so
Mhm.
memorable. The student section was right behind me, and oh my god, it was like I swear, like my body was pushed forward. It was just so. It really was. I mean, Wisconsin's a great atmosphere, but Penn State,
Mhm.
when they're waving their white pom poms, is it's there's nothing like it, you know. And I'm on the bottom, I can see up. It's great.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fantastic, you know. Besides the TV view as well.
Mhm.
The red out was kind of good, but we don't, you know,
The red doesn't take effect
yeah,
at night
and
like the white
yeah, and I
does.
don't know. We didn't have the pom poms going. If we did, I don't know. But yeah, it was a great atmosphere, you know, and it was a great football game. And I think, you know, we'll eventually get into Ohio State, I guess. But I've just been, you know, privileged to have that opportunity every Saturday for
Mhm.
21 seasons, and hope to make it 22, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. Yeah, and,
very blessed,
you had
Justin.
mentioned last year, or next year, Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, at
That's
home.
who at home, first game of the year,
First
I
game.
believe.
Yeah,
So
first game at home.
yeah, let's,
I'm hoping to get that one in,
yeah,
even
yeah.
if it's dire, you know, at that time. I don't know. Who knows what it'll be like 3 months from now, even. But
Mhm.
you know, if I'm still here, I'm going to try to do what I can to be here. And but you have no control over that, you know. And that's the hardest part, you know. When and how is it going to happen? You know, every day you worry about, you know, every. That's why I was at the polling game last week, and I had some really bad cramps, and I didn't know what was happening. You know, you get more worried than anything. So you know, the Poland trainers gave me some water, and I took. They were, and Poland was losing 27-7 at the time, I believe. So I said, I'm getting out of here, and it turned out it was just really dehydration. You know,
Okay.
and you know, I didn't have enough water, and as soon as I drank some water from what they gave me on driving home, I started to feel a lot better, and really just so you have things that happen, and you don't know what's going on, and just, you know, hopefully it it'll take care of itself. And
Mhm.
in that particular case, it did. So, you know, I live day to day, really, honestly.
Well, and again, you're I think, it's hard to be positive in cases like this, but you're you're as positive as I think you can be, and you share that out with the public. And I think the fact that you uh, are an open book with your friends, your family, people that follow you on social media, I think that's wonderful because I think that encourages others to, like you even said today, like, hey, if you're in this age range, go get checked out. Like just be proactive and take care of yourself. And I think that message is wonderful. Is wonderful.
If it helps somebody, inspires somebody, I guess that, you know, that's great. I'm just trying to survive. I mean, people, you know, well, you're strong or whatever. Yeah, really.
Hmm.
You're just trying to survive at this
Right.
point. And,
Right.
and I hate to use that word, but I don't know what other worse if live till tomorrow. I mean, you
Sure.
wake up and say, make it through today. And it's not, I'm not like in a over the toilet puking every. I'm not. No, I'm just saying. I'm good. You know, and I know there's people out there with cancer that are suffering way worse than I have. You know, I just have done it for a long time, and
Sure.
it may be the cumulative, whatever. But people are suffering, and they see me. I'm still talking about. You know, this guy was talking about it 2 years ago, or you know, it is what it is. I'm
Mhm.
not. I don't seek prayer, praise, or pity when I write. And that's the conflict that I have, because every time I write something, I get, you know, all these likes and comments that are just overwhelming, Justin. I mean,
I'm sure.
really, I mean, and I read every one, and you know, even if I don't tag them all, because sometimes I don't know where I left off, and so I have to go back over them anyway. So I, I, I read everyone, and so it's overwhelming. It
Hmm.
is, and I, I feel blessed. There's no other way to
Well,
say it, and I just try to pay it forward, and you know, it's all I've ever tried to do, and you know, and it's I guess that's why people give it.
yeah, absolutely. And let's just talk about one more thing here before we get into some sports too. You recently celebrated a birthday,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you kind of had a little star-studded
Uh,
event.
well, and then when I started talking about Ted Ginn, people I've met, Jim Trussell, obviously, the president of
Mhm.
YSU, former head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I've been around Coach Trussell and my family. We started the Valley Playbook years ago. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that, it was a monthly sports tabloid. We did it for 10 years, and it's kind of vaulted me. It was my brother Chuck, it was his idea, and we ran with it for 10 years, and we covered YSU and local sports. Back then, there was no, you know, it was cut and paste. these people today have no idea how easy everything is,
Right.
including photography. But we had cut and pasted 80-page football previews, and if you make a mistake, you got to go cut that page and read,
Oh boy.
everything on the computer. But it was all printed out and pasted on a big sheet and take it to the printer. And now you could just
Yep.
hit buttons and it'll take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that for 10 years, and we covered YSU, the four state titles, 91, 93, 94, 97.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cochran was the 92 one. Nick, if you're listening, we almost had that one too, 4 in a row. And Mark Brungard had 2 of those. And look at Bo. I hope we talk about Bo later.
Oh,
That
yeah.
kid's fantastic. Mark Brungard had 2 of those. And then when, like I said, I went to, there's 4 national championships. It's in my time. I didn't go to the Miami game with Tressel. I was too of a newbie, I guess, at the time. That was 2002, 2000, and seat from the 2002 season. So his second year at Ohio State. Like, I think Bobby Stoops was his second year at Oklahoma too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But anyway, it's just been a whirlwind for the most part after that, and meeting Tressel. The other 2, I went to the Florida one, we lost, and I went to the LSU one, and we lost that. And I didn't go to the most recent one again because I was against, I was having some problems at the time. So I went to the 2 we lost and didn't go to the 2 that we won. But it was still a great experience to be
absolutely
able to go to the New Orleans Superdome.
Yes.
Your Beanie Wells and LSU, and I, Bo Pelini was a defense coordinator at the time for LSU. We were up 10-0, I believe, at the time. Things were going good, and we blew that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But so Jim Tressel, head coach at Ohio State. Well, his situation is his situation, but he's been a great person for me ever since. When I first got diagnosed, he was one of the first people on my phone, not a text. And I'll never forget this. All of Buckeye Nation and all of Penguin Nation is behind. This is from Jim Tressel speaking to me on my phone at the time when I just kind of was just diagnosed with my colon cancer at the time. And since then he's been the whole route. I recently turned 57, and we were just gonna have a little party in my sister's house. I said, we're not gonna fit all these people here. So I have a friend, Andrew Grishow, owns the Bedford Trails golf course, and we have my brother's golf fundraiser there every summer, which we've raised over $100,000 at YSU for a scholarship fund of journalism. He was an editor of the Jam Bar at YSU, and in 10, 11 years we've raised over $100,000. So Tressel, we were talking at one of the gatherings, and next thing you know, he said, "Well, let's." We were telling him about the party and everything. Well, let's do it up. He got on the phone right away. Oh no, here's what happened. Take us. He invited me to YSU, one of their practices, and we're talking. We go all around. He takes me around his cart. He's telling me economic plans for YSU in the future as we're driving around the amphitheater and back in that area in his little golf cart to YSU, and we're going. We stop and have lunch and all this stuff. And I was telling him about the birthday party we're having. He picks up the phone. We call Andrew Grishow right there and leave him a message because he wants to be involved and he wants, what do we need to do? So next day we had a meeting on his front porch and at the old Wycliffe Pollock Inn where he.
Oh yeah.
Where
yeah right over here.
Yeah, where he's, and we had him and my brother Ray and Shard, and he planned the whole party with us, and he was there. It was incredible party. I mean, everybody was invited. You were invited as well.
I was unfortunately out of town,
but it was, if you saw some of the pictures of the people that were there, I mean, besides Tressel and everybody, there was Big Nut, there was Jack Park, who's one of the greatest Buckeyes that I know. You would have enjoyed that. He was then, and they were all available. Everybody has talking, friends, relationships. These guys come up because they wanted to, not from Columbus, and they are in Minnesota just on Thursday night. That was a Thursday night game.
Wow, that's right.
And for Jack Park to drive up from Columbus himself, and he's 70, I don't know, he might be 80 years old, 70 some years old. I don't know how old, but he's great. And he drove up from Columbus and back after just getting back from Minnesota. And Big Nut was there, and he went to the game as well. He's at all the games, and just people like that. Jim Tressel was there. He was as for the whole time, made sure the pizza was warm in and out. I mean, he was in charge. He was running the show, having fun. Everybody's having fun with all the guests. It was just a great time and something I'll never forget, obviously. And they say if I'm around, we'll have another one. But it was the right thing at the right time. And you never know. Hopefully it won't be the last one. But just the fact that he cared enough to say, let's really kind of do this up. And and it was a great party. And and Andrew Grishow does a great job. If you ever need have anything done, he'll bend over backwards for you, and he did that for us as well. And it's just it was a great night and a great experience, and you know,
Well, let me just say let's have another one next year because I want to go. So, and I want to be
yeah,
there. I want to be there too. So, let's get that done at Bedford Trails, right?
yeah, that's what.
Bedford
Yeah,
Trails. Okay.
great guy, Andrew Grishow, great guy.
Very good. Okay. So, and one more quick story I want to get into. This is your story, but you had mentioned over the summer you and your daughter Chloe took a kind of a cross country trip. So, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Well, things weren't looking good, so the opportunity presented itself. She had a girlfriend actually who kind of did something similar with her boyfriend a few months earlier, and it kind of gave me an idea. I said, well, I know people in Texas, Arizona, California, and we just started piecing up routes together, and we ended up starting out May 1st. We went to Nashville. It was our only place that we didn't have anybody that we knew. So,
Okay.
we had a hotel and we had a great time on Broadway, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to
Oh
Nashville?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
It is.
Yeah, and we
Yes.
only got to stay for like the nighttime because we were on
Mm-hmm.
the road the next morning.
Yeah.
But even that was just kind of enough. We
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get any big bars because there were so many lines and people. We
Sure.
were just people watching and have fun going up and down this trip, and
Mm-hmm.
great experience. Go to Nashville, and I wouldn't want to live
Yes.
there, but boy, it was
Great
so
place to visit.
yeah, so much fun, and really. So then we went there. We went to Texas. I had a friend that lives in Texas, Irvine, or not Irvine. He lives in Argyle, which
Okay.
is near Dallas, Fort Worth. So we went down there and stayed there, and we went to see Jerry's place up in where YSU played a
Oh yeah,
national
yeah.
championship at.
Oh,
Uh,
that's where the Cowboys train
yeah,
too.
that's where we went. Yeah, and I forget.
Frisco.
Yeah, Frisco. We were in Frisco, and we went there. That place, that's beautiful. Yes, have
Mm-hmm.
you seen it? Oh yeah, where
I
you're
just
the
seen pictures. I've
okay,
never been.
okay. So beautiful, and where we saw where YSU played and all that stuff. That stadium's nice and everything. So we stayed there a couple days. I've been with him down there before.
Mm-hmm.
He's a friend of mine from college who flew me down to Dallas, and then we flew to Alabama because he's a big Alabama fan. And I saw my first Alabama game. This is when I first got sick in 17. Just again, so many people have done so many great things for me, and he's one of them. Got to go to an Alabama game and, as a fan, which is great, and
Mm-hmm.
experienced that. And so I went from there. We went. Our next stop was in Arizona, Tucson. Wonderful. I could live there forever.
Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning, great. Had mountains in our backyard where the people that we stayed from, Gold family from Poland, where we stayed. And then we went from there. We went to Phoenix, and in that area, Gilbert, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed with a friend, Mike Zoldak, is a Wilson guy, and and then we went to my cousins who are out in California, and their son, or my cousin, my second, I'm cousin with his mom, first cousin with his mom. He's in a band called the Wallows, and they're kind of a really big deal. And they're shut down right now because California, everything's shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to start touring again pretty soon. He's a member of the Wallows, and my daughter Chloe, we're cousins. They're cousins, but she's a fan too. So
Yeah.
at first she didn't know it was going to be awkward because we haven't seen him in a while. Because they come home they're from Youngstown area.
Okay.
And but she didn't want to and he made her feel like he's just a normal person, and they went out
Mm-hmm.
and did stuff together, and she's worried about him thinking she's gonna be a creeper fan or something. But he was just
Sure.
unbelievable, and just so we had a great time in California. We had a wedding on Saturday. This is Wednesday, so we had to drive across country in 2 days,
Wow.
and it was great. And the whole trip was great. My daughter drove. She's a trooper because I couldn't have did that by myself. I drove to
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma and back by myself when Ohio State played Oklahoma.
Wow.
That was enough of itself. I
Okay.
went through the whole state of Missouri. It was raining sideways. I had to drive my flashers on them, white knuckling almost the whole state of Missouri when they played Oklahoma in 18 or 17, I forget, at Oklahoma. So that was interesting in itself. But my daughter, she stepped up and we drove home. We made it home from the very coast of California to back home to Columbus, and we left Wednesday afternoon, and we were there Friday. We were home Friday afternoon.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was fun.
Fast tracking on the
But we got
country on the way back.
talk about quality time.
Yes.
Man, if anybody has a relationship like I have with my daughter, God bless you, man, because
Mm-hmm.
girl dad had never, didn't have a chance to have the mini me kind of, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he probably would have been, hanging around all the sporting events and everything, and that was
Right.
cool. I'm a girl dad, and I'm very proud, and I never imagined it would be so much fun to share her life with her friends that she has,
Hmm.
and that's just, I'm just on the back. I'm just enjoying it. I'm whatever time I have left, I'll go as long. I don't want to. It's not. I'm in no dire situation as far as I know, but who knows? Tomorrow, I don't know.
Sure.
Just like nobody knows. I get that, but
Hmm.
nobody has stage 4 cancer,
But
and
you're
and
making the best out of
yeah,
each
and
and
that
every day.
trip, that's why we kind of did it, because
Hmm.
we were able to at the time. She might, well, at the time we're thinking she could even graduate this year if she wanted to, but she really hasn't had that college experience when you take a year and a half out because from this COVID.
COVID,
She
yeah.
had her freshman year, which she got to be a Buckeye,
Hmm.
go to the games, 2017, first year. Even though I was sick, she was still able to enjoy it as a freshman. But then the last year and a half has been, wow,
Hmm.
virtual pretty much. And
Sure.
so she's going to take her time there, maybe stay extra and finish
I
out
did
school
the
because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
I did the 5-year program at
Oh,
Ohio
yeah,
State just for the
yeah,
fun of it.
yeah.
So
And she's getting another double major because, theater's
hmm.
tough, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
And she's in communications as well. So however works out, great. She wants to eventually go out to the coast somewhere, but
Hmm.
who knows what the country is going to be like in
Sure. Right. Yeah.
2 years, let alone
Exactly.
20
Exactly.
years.
Yeah. The pandemic and everything
Yes,
else
and everything
that we're
else.
dealing with.
Yes.
So
And
uh
gas prices, for instance. But yes,
I know. But one thing I
yes.
will say though is you can get anywhere in a plane in 4 or 5 hours, but sometimes that road trip
Oh,
experience you can't take that back, and you can't relive something like that because that experience alone is worth it.
I'll be 6 feet under, as we all will someday, and she'll have that memory, and just I happen to take some photographs too along the way. So, I was never one. I was always a heavy person. I hated photographs, for a lot of years, and you know, I, you know, hey, photographs last forever. They're
Mhm.
they're permanent and they live beyond you. And so at least my daughter will have some good memories of what
No
we
doubt.
did, and we're still creating great ones. I mean,
Mhm.
her her just going to Columbus and spending time with her roommates is just what makes my day.
That's
So
great.
looking forward to doing that again this weekend after the
Absolutely.
game's over, and then again head home that night and be home for the Browns on
Mhm.
Sunday, who hopefully can snatch another victory here.
Well, I'll be down
Yes.
on Saturday, so
Yes.
maybe
I
I'll
I I
swing by and have a
yes,
drink with you.
and people know that. I mean, I say that, people might think that, no, if you're there and you know me, come on by, and you're more than welcome. I mean, not you specifically, all my friends kinda know that, and from all my posts, if you don't know where our tailgate is by now, then I can't really help you on that, but I've had it pretty much from this, we're in the same location. They've been in that same location for 50 years
And that's
now.
a Youngstown crew?
It's a Toledo
Oh,
crew,
a
actually.
Toledo crew,
It just
okay.
by happenstance that I met these guys about 10, 11 years ago. The Brewsters were finishing up. They were my kind of like my
Mm,
tailgate family back then when
yeah.
Mike Brewster
Mhm.
played from 8 to 11. He had, I think, Luke Fickell's final year when they were kind of not as good as they were.
He was a center,
He was a
correct?
center. He
Okay.
was part of the Brew crew. That was a whole little episode when they were getting recruited, and
Okay.
back in 2008 season. So, um, I used to hang out with their tailgate a lot, but now, we moved. Want me to tell you my interesting tailgate story, or no? I
Please,
don't know how
please.
much time
Oh,
or
no,
whatever.
tailgate stories are
Okay.
are
Well, it
are
kind of
great.
happened. It, uh, Courtney Love from uh, uh, Cardinal Mooney at the time. He was being recruited kind
Okay.
of heavily, and he was on the
I
same.
thought you meant the singer at
No,
first.
no, no, yes, from Cardinal
Okay, yeah,
Mooney,
yeah.
and he's with
Mhm,
Kentucky right now.
mhm.
Very big,
Yeah.
huge, successful career he has after his football career at
Mhm.
Kentucky right now. He was being recruited, and him and his dad, Corey Love, were on recruiting trips with Zeke Elliott and Stacy Elliott. Okay, they did a lot together. So Corey would put Stacy on the phone, and he was, and this guy's gonna end up going to not Stacy wouldn't tell me that, but Corey would say this guy's ended up going to Ohio State. And every
Mhm.
time nobody really knew, but Corey would tell me he's going to go to Ohio State. So that was kind of cool at the
Mhm.
time. Anyway, I got to know him so just from phone calls. So on one of our conversations, I said uh, they report on the Monday after the state track tournament, Ohio State. The freshman report or the summer, they're
Sure.
coming in. So I knew Ezekiel would be there for that, and I said, come over to this track stadium. I love to meet you guys in person.
Mhm.
So I met him, and they came over, him and Zeke Elliott, who was just Zeke Elliott at the time.
Right.
Met them, took their picture, and invited Stacy. I said, we have a tailgate. Here it is. Please, you're more than welcome to come. They were there the first week, him and Don and their family. they didn't miss in 3 years of Ezekiel, but week 2, they were week 1 from 2017, whatever season it was, I don't even remember now. And next week they brought Cheryl Boza with them to our tailgate. And boy, she didn't miss in 6 years after that, with 3 with Joey and 3 with Nick until he got hurt. And then he got hurt in the TCU game.
That's right.
And we were down there as well when that happened, and hanging out with her for that day. We were having such a good time. And next thing you know, it's his last game as a Buckeye. So that was kind of surprising. But to this day, I'm great friends with a lot of these parents. The Brewsters are one of my most cherished families that I know, and we stay in communication. Mike Brewster's with Cincinnati right now, coaching, making his way up the coaching ladder, like a lot of the past Buckeyes have. And he's with Luke Fickle down there in Cincinnati, and so I stay in touch with them to this day. And Cheryl Bose just came back for one of our tailgates. We have a group, 3-4 people tailgate, text together, and we're always communicating. And Dawn is she's more of the communicator on social media, and Stacy is too. But Dawn's been like a real solid friend as well over the years. So I've met great people. We continue. If you come down Saturday, I guarantee you'll meet some great Buckeye parents.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean anything other than we have some cool people stopping by our tailgate.
I think the cool thing about being an Ohio State Buckeye, and you don't want to sound like an elitist or anything. I mean, for God's sakes, it's a state school too, but there is something special about being an Ohio State Buckeye, an alumni. It is family, and you can go and you can go.
I'm not even an alumni. I'm not even an alumni.
Well, but your daughter now has sort of taken that role. But I would say with what you do every Saturday, you're sort of they can give you a what's that called, like
I don't know,
an honorary degree or something like that. But you're might not be an official by paper Buckeye, but I think you're in the heart of Buckeye.
I tease with people, just like I talked about Ohio Stadium and the Garden of Eden, if you will. And I've been to Alabama, I've been to places. You might have something as good as Ohio State, but there ain't no way it's better. And especially internally, because I know all the get up to the press box is a challenge at many places. Ohio State, it's a breeze. Michigan's one of the biggest dumps I've been around. Just a hole in the ground, and that's what it is. And it takes all day to get up to in those aisles, because there's no other way from the bottom to get to the mezzanine, where you get to the elevator to get to the top. I bring my clip up at halftime all the time, so I have to leave early in Michigan games, because if I get stuck in the lane, I won't even be up to the press box when the second half kickoff will be starting. They get in those lanes and you don't move. Everyone wants to use the bathroom and come down. And
right,
it's crazy. So I got off on a tangent there, but yeah, I've just met great people. Jack Park, for instance. I mean, I would there's just great relationship. It's all about relationships, Justin.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I've just been fortunate to meet great people, and just photography's been great. It's been one of the reasons. And I just as long as the good Lord allows me to keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I love it. I love it. Well, I look forward to seeing you down there on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, let's shift gears and let's go to the Cleveland Browns. We'll come back to the Buckeyes.
Okay.
So the Cleveland Browns are playing the New England Patriots on Sunday.
1:00.
So 1:00 game in Foxborough. Patriots right now, I think it was a pick 'em at first. Now it's like 2.5 point. They're 2.5 point favorite. We're not quite sure of Nick Chubb's status for the game, COVID, all that stuff. But what's your overall thoughts, I guess, on the Cleveland Browns this year?
Frustration a little bit. I want to be a Baker Mayfield fan so bad. I really do. And he has a game like he did, and you're all on board, and then he has a game like 2 games ago or 3 games ago. And
yep.
He's kind of like our Brian Sipe, and I don't know if he's enough to get us where we need to go, but he's good enough to get us places.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know if it's good enough that you have to have a quarterback to win it. You just have to, right? And I think if he's on, he's on.
Exactly.
And maybe it's a Odell Beckham thing. I don't know. Hope it is. But I think they need to just trust the run more, and he becomes a distributor, and when he doesn't have to try to win the game. I mean, they have so many dynamic weapons. I mean, even the receiver from the state up north is playing well for them.
He really is.
And I'm a big fan, and I wouldn't admit that, except he's doing really good.
Exactly.
So, and we're talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he was he was on Columbus met his mom on a recruiting trip. And we get to meet a lot of these guys when they're younger.
I did hear Urban Meyer say that was one guy he really
Yeah.
wish he would have
And his mom
landed.
liked Ohio State too a lot, but they were right there, and
Hmm.
he was their guy at Michigan, and that's fine. He had his bad college career. That's his choice. But yeah, he's you know I think they could just this is a big week for Cleveland.
Hmm.
It's pretenders or contenders, I guess.
Yep.
And I know not one game a season makes, but you got to start going 1-0 every week.
No doubt. And I saw an interesting stat. The Patriots are 1-4 at home this year, which
Nice.
that's a really, really surprising stat. 4-1 on the road. So let's talk about real quick. Do you remember back? Have you been a Browns fan a long
Oh,
time, your whole life?
We're proud Browns fan.
Okay, so you remember, like I was like, I kind of became a Browns fan. I would say I was probably third, fourth grade,
Yeah.
like started to watch the games, really got into it. Bernie, was right towards the
Yes.
middle portion of his career.
Yeah.
But
I played against Bernie in high school.
oh, you did?
And Michael Zordich.
Interesting.
Class of '82, both of those.
Okay.
Boardman and Cheney.
Okay.
And we beat Cheney. We lost the Boardman. We should have Boardman beat. Of course, Kozar.
Where'd you go to high school at?
Woodrow Wilson.
That's right. I did know that. Okay.
And, so yeah, we played against both those guys. And look now, I mean, we played against pros like
yes.
Now, so talent levels seems to be so much different, and that's a whole nother story.
Oh, I know. Well, Youngstown is a hotbed
The
for
City
football.
Series was so good in the '80s, though. We're
Mhm.
in the '70s, late '70s and '80s when I played. Man, playing at South High Field was great. Playing at Rand Stadium was great.
Mhm.
People don't know that tunnel from Rand do you remember that at all?
You know what? I do not.
No, there was a tunnel from the gym from the school gym. That tunnel that comes out, that went all the way to the school and to the gymnasium and where your locker room was. And you'd go up that tunnel and you go up to the school. And it was kind of like badass,
Yeah, right.
And it's still, the tunnel's still there. It's a different version of it, but it don't connect anywhere. It just goes to the top of the stadium now. But boy, that place used to be, I remember as a kid going to see Mooney and Urson play when the Williott brothers one went to Penn State, one went to Ohio State. Lou Williott and Tony Williott, we were good friends with those guys. My dad's from the East Side. We used to go to those games at Rand Stadium. You couldn't fit another person in there if you had a shoehorn. And they had four sides of that stadium. It was kind of, if people remember that and they're a little bit older, you couldn't fit another person in that stadium over on Benita Avenue there, Ohio and Benita, I think it is, on the north side. Just that just sticks in my memory. There's so many people in that Urson Mooney game.
Right.
Wow. I had cousins on Mooney and I had Willie brothers on. I remember going to those games. And then Ed Moransky at the South High field house. You see him coming out of that field house. He was the biggest guy. His head would be hitting the top of the thing. And those little things make indelible impressions on you when you're a young kid. And I got to play at South High all our games. We open up with Boardman every year at Boardman. And, we got beat, but it was a great challenge every year. And city, we weren't afraid of schools. I don't know. It's just different now. We knew Boardman was kind of like, wow, that's Boardman. I don't think they have that kind of respect now. That's for damn sure. But I went to Wilson. We respected Boardman for football. And
it's really interesting too, because around here, when I was in high school and I played a little bit, but it was Steel Valley, and it was Boardman, it was Fitch, it was Ursuline, Harding, and Mooney in there. And and it was a grind every single week. And Austintown, Warren, Boardman were big Division I schools.
Yeah, we played those schools too every year, and we lost, but we played and we had great. Football was great, man. Competition was great. It is now, I guess, but it was nothing like back in the day. And of course, population, I guess, is
right.
one. But geez, that's the City Series and Steel Valley, and that's all you really need. And then in the MVC, when you had Struthers and Kennedy, and those teams were kind of good and competitive back then, and wherever Poland was, I don't even, we played Poland every year too. We played Boardman, Poland, Struthers were our first three games like every year. There's a nice mixture of all the area teams. We played local teams. Now we'll not have to play St. Mary's or whatever, because you can't find any teams that play, or who knows where these teams are
I talked to Mike Pavlansky over at Canfield, and he said we got to play all these schools from everywhere because you can't get anyone on the schedule.
But they still need to play each other, though. And everybody's more worried about stupid politics of who's transferring and who's this and who's being recruited. Just play football, man.
Exactly.
Let the people enjoy the competition and great games, because when you run into it, and look at Hubbard and South Range. What a game, it didn't turn out great for Hubbard.
Right.
The anticipation and seeing one of the greatest running backs in the state of Ohio this year didn't perform like it that night, if we're being honest, against South Range.
Right.
60 some yards. And, But yeah, 2,500 yards, whatever he ended up with, the third in the state or third in the country as far as rushing totals. Good for him. We're talking about TC Caffey from Hubbard. I heard he has some interest in maybe walking on Ohio State and proving himself. I don't know if that's the case or not. If that happens, we'll see. But you got to give him kudos for what he did. But he didn't show up in the South Range game or maybe the last game against Canfield. I understand. I didn't see that game. I think he had 70-some yards there.
Okay,
those are games you want to say, hey,
right.
Here's my reputation. Here's what I do, and but it didn't work out. That don't make him a bad player.
No, not at all.
Didn't work,
especially if that team can turn you into a one-dimensional.
But if he's not being recruited at his level that he thinks he is, then go for it. If he wants to go that way and prove himself, there are players that make it. That are walk-ons. 34 for Ohio State. Rossi's a walk-on, and he's fullback, tight end, catching a touchdown against Rutgers, I believe. You can rise if you're if you're that player. Chad Cascio, remember a name?
Oh yeah,
walk on. A couple. There's some big time walk on players at Ohio State in the past, and I don't know if that's his case now. But those are some of the rumblings I was hearing that he might want to walk on and would prefer to walk on at Ohio State. And if he does, God bless him. Hopefully I'll get to see him play. It's a sad thing. I look at these freshmen, and now we're talking about Ohio
That's
State.
Okay. That's okay.
Jack Sawyer and Tumalua, whatever. I can't even say his name even to this day. 44 and 33. I don't know if I'll be there for senior season. Just stupid things that I think about.
Sure.
That I wouldn't even think about it. And now, they could be great by the time there's juniors because they'll probably be gone in 3 years. And so that 23 season is kind of like magical for me. That'll be my next. Hopefully. If I make it that far.
Well, let's get you there, and let's get you to South Bend too.
Yeah, but right now we're just worried about Purdue,
right?
This coming weekend.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Purdue because they have sort of.
I like Purdue.
They're kind of a scary team. They don't run the ball much, but they can throw it on just about anybody. Yeah.
And they got a good receiver too. So, I think over time, if maybe they'll have their luck early as well, and we'll be saying, "What is Ohio State doing again?" Because we seem to say that every time in the first quarter. Where they're not adjusting. Other than those 3 or 4 games in a row where they just took the ball and went right down the field,
right,
for most of the time. But yeah, we just even in Indiana even was kind of slow start, I guess you can say. But if we get started well, because you give Purdue a reason. They've already proven it. They don't have Rondale Moore anymore, like 3 years ago when they beat us in the blackout up in Iowa.
This David Bell kid, though, is a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud. But I think they could contain him, hopefully, to some degree. And that's pretty much if they're one-trick pony or not. But they beat Michigan State. And it goes back to, who's Michigan? That's what I want to say, the team up north. Who is that team? Everybody talks about how good they are every year until they play people,
Right.
And it wasn't even. Come on, you can't even beat your little stepbrother for crying out loud.
Well, in these these playoff rankings, I touch on them on our Tuesday show, but I don't like to spend a whole lot of time because they don't really mean anything right now.
It's like people around here, they get excited with Matthews goes 5-0. Okay, guys, they haven't. Look who they played. And you're talking about. No offense, and I love Coach Bourne. I shouldn't have used that team. Maybe Lisbon or somebody. I don't know. But, you got to take some kind of records don't obviously mean everything because in the Big Ten, when you got a bunch of crappy teams, they all play each other. Somebody's got to win. And maybe Michigan's better than some of the crappy teams. They weren't better than Michigan State, at least one-on-one competition. They weren't, and so it is, they're coming down. They got Michigan's got a rough road ahead of them but if they went out, they'll be in the.
Well, I think
they'll be in the Big Ten championship, and they'll be one lost team in the Final Four. So they control their own destiny, if you will. And so does Ohio State. And
exactly.
That's what makes it. And if Michigan don't screw it up in the next 2 weeks, we'll be battling in that place up north. And
I will say, I did have one really cool experience in Ann Arbor once.
Wow. That's more than me.
I went up there and it was the 2005 game. So it was Antonio Pittman scored that last touchdown. Troy Smith hit Gonzalez.
Gonzalez
with that catch.
Yeah.
And but later that night, I can't remember if it was later that night or the night before, we went out to a bar there called Rick's. And we went downstairs and
in your Ohio State gear.
We were I think we were in normal clothes.
Okay.
I think we were in normal clothes that night, just jeans and whatever. But Derek Jeter was down there.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't get to
Michigan guy.
Yeah, he was a big Michigan fan. And, me and a buddy of mine, we went up and tried to get a picture with him, and his like entourage like kind of shut that down. But I think I was like 23 at the time or something like that. I was younger, but I thought that was a really cool experience.
I think Tressel lost in 2003 up there, and I think, and then 2011, I think, was the last loss with Fickle,
and that was Fickle, and
that's it.
Been it.
And you go for not a lot of people like John Cooper. I understand that. You get something like Tressel, and then okay, he's gone, and you get something like Urban Meyer, and wow, okay, it's hard to have an upgrade on Tressel, but while he kind of record wise, I mean they're all great, and then you get something like Ryan Day, who might surpass them all record wise.
I think Tressel coming in to Columbus when he did
turned the culture.
He was the perfect person, because I don't think he recruited quite at the level of Urban Meyer. Obviously not.
No,
but
the state of Ohio he did.
But yeah, exactly. But I don't think Urban Meyer could have done what Tressel did. So I think they were sort of in the perfect roles.
Sure, but Urban Meyer's a Ohio guy too.
Yes,
I mean he has Toledo roots, and he has in addition to his Ashtabula roots. So I mean but he expanded our recruiting base without question.
Oh, no doubt.
And now when you go in that Ryan Day goes into Texas, look at Garrett Wilson and Smith and Jigba, two of the best Texas receivers, high school receivers in consecutive years, and we plundered them right out.
Not to mention, I mean, JT Barrett out of Texas, Quinn Ewers,
everybody.
Dobbins. Yeah, I mean,
Ewers, and that Ewers was a guy I was in on my trip this summer.
Okay,
and oh geez. Okay, we're in Argyle, but South.
I can't think of the name of the school either.
I've been there a couple times now already.
White and green, I know that.
And I went to the school because their stadium's separate from their school, and I knew that, but I didn't see the school before, so I was down there. Me and my buddy took a ride. Well, I took a ride. My daughter actually. My buddy was working, so I took a ride 25 minutes to South Lake Carroll.
That's what it is. Yep.
And I went in, had no. Actually, I tried to do a thing. Like I do as a reporter, send an email. I'll be at the school. Didn't get a response, so I kind of not. So I went there. I had to, I'm going. I got to see Ewers. I'm here. Right. It's 20 minutes away. So I just went to the school, and they have a big building, and then they have two beautiful turf fields, those yellow bright goalposts, like flags waving on the top, and two full ones of those. This magnificent facility. I walk in, have no idea. I see this beautiful weight room. I see kids walking around, athletes, and I see a coach. I go, is the head coach available? I just kind of introduced myself. He goes, no, he's in a meeting right now, but tell you what, we got practice at 4:00. You're welcome to come by then. And I told him who I was and everything. He said, come on by at 4:00 and watch. Well, it ended up, practice didn't start till like 4:30.
Okay. I
was sitting out there in the field. Here comes all the team. I watched every throw of Ewers that whole day. 2-hour practice, whatever. Well, I watched every single throw. That's what I was there for. My man was unbelievable.
Really?
And again, first thing, I don't know if it's accurate or not. I'm thinking he throws like Dan Marino, but yet runs like he can get out of the pocket. And again, it was a spring practice. It wasn't they weren't trying to use him as a runner, but that's part of his forte as it is, and you could see him. He's a mobile guy, so he's like a mobile Dan Marino. That's the first thing I kind of thought, because he just kind of flicks it, and it's on a line.
I'm gonna write that down, and for the record, a mobile Dan Marino. I like that.
That's just the first thing that kind of came to my mind, because the way his balls were so crisp and on the line and flicking them. Right?
I've heard a lot of people compare him to Patrick Mahomes, a recent.
I don't know if he throws sideways like Mahomes or whatever. He's probably more of a discipline, at least right now. Anyways, as an Elite 11 quarterback or whatever he was. But to watch him go through a practice, and he had the bad boy. Business in front and the wall, sort of like, my tribute to him now, if you will. The
little mullet action in the
back. And he's kind of made his mark because he took advantage of something he was able to take advantage of. I'm sure his high school team wasn't, but they wish him the best. I'm sure maybe he'll kick into he'll add to the alumni coffers here. With his $1 million contract that he was able to sign. God bless him. I hope he redshirts this year, but he's the third quarterback this week, with Miller's situation. That's a shame as it is. And Miller's a guy, from what I know, who will be at Ohio State for 5 years unless this curtails everything.
Interesting.
He'll be the Mac Jones of the class, if there is one.
You think so? Okay.
I think
you don't think he'll transfer out?
He's staying. The one who'll leave is McCord.
Okay.
McCord will be the next Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I just hope it's not Penn State or something, because he's from that area. I hope he transfers out of the big. I like him a lot, but But then, wow, you're on board with C.J. Stroud so much, and he's a great kid. He's a very religious. He's a man of faith. His mother's that's top priority. I met the mom, and she's a wonderful person. Garrett's mom, Candace, is a wonderful person. I hate to throw out names like I'm naming them, but
No, that's fine.
these
Yeah.
are just people of faith, and she's one of them, and he's one. If you ever heard his press conference after the
Oh,
game,
yes.
thanks the Lord every
Mhm.
chance he gets, and but and he was playing so well, but then he has these bad games again,
Sure.
and then you think, wow, but he's got to work through that.
He's also
And
19
he needs
too,
to, and he tells you that, and he
Mhm.
believes it. He has supreme confidence in himself, which
Mhm.
is good. I'd rather him be like that than question himself.
Right.
So he's got all the right pieces. He just has to be maybe a little more consistent and maybe run the ball. I don't know. Is he protecting his shoulder somehow? Does he not want to run? That would help a little bit because
Mhm.
how many times we've seen him? There's open grass and you're still looking to throw the ball,
Right.
and sometimes it's incomplete and you could have ran it for the first down maybe or something,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But you don't seem to want to run. He even made a statement. I'm a throw. I'm here to throw
Yeah.
footballs or whatever. God bless him. I hope, we're probably eventually going to, but that's okay because then we got Ewers. If McCord, our sacrificial lamb,
Mhm.
I like the guy a lot. And I think wherever he goes, he's going to be a Joe Burrowish kind of quarterback.
Interesting.
If not
Okay.
here, that's just my
Well, the
opinion.
nice thing with Ryan Day is he's bringing in all this talent.
Yes.
You can kind of, you hate to say, end up picking your favorite two. One can be the starter, one could be the backup. But even if a guy goes into the transfer portal, he can still be trained for a year or two under a Ryan Day, an NFL former quarterback coach, and then go off to a new system where you can flourish.
And look, Burrow benefited from Ohio State,
Hmm.
you know, going up through that system and learning the quarterback position, at least how they do it at what made him so successful at LSU. I really believe that. And I was at the Big Ten championship game that year, and when he was hurt and Cardell was the guy, and he was in the backup,
Hmm.
somewhere, and people were wondering where he transfer, and he loved Ohio. I know that for a fact. Loved Ohio State, but he had to do what he had to do. And
Sure.
Kyle McCord will probably be the same deal, unless an injury,
Hmm.
something happens to him, like JT Barrett gave. Look what Cardell Jones. He'd be a nobody right now.
Exactly.
No offense.
Right.
He was on his way to having a pedestrian career at Ohio
Hmm.
State. Yes.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Barrett gets hurt, moves in. Great. 3 games of his life.
Oh my
He's a
goodness.
Buckeye forever now.
Yes.
He's probably don't pay for
Never.
a meal in Columbus now, right?
Right. Exactly.
And good for him.
Hmm.
He decided to come back for whatever reason, whatever that was. Doesn't matter.
Hmm.
He did what he did when he was there, and people will remember him for that. And
No
he's
doubt.
taking advantage of that.
Yeah,
right
if
now.
you succeed
him.
in Columbus,
Yes,
you are a forever
and he's a
Buckeye.
Glenville kid. And
Mhm.
these are guys that I knew when they were. Dante Whitner didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. By the grace of Ted Ginn, got him to where he needed to be to become a star.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget because Maurice Claret went early. He was right. He was like the first one, right?
Right.
Back
Mhm.
2001,
Mhm.
possibly.
Yep.
Dante Whitner. That he would. I remember him sitting in Ginn's office with him. I'm doing that next year. Lo and
The
behold,
honor roll
he
early.
yeah,
Yep.
he was the guy, and he was out with Ted Ginn. And Ginn finished his track career at Ohio at Glenville.
Mhm.
I think that was the year they really did good, 66 points in the state tournament, and they won the state track tournament in Columbus. And yeah, so just Cardell Jones. I mean,
Mhm.
he benefited from the right thing. I mean, and here's the school that provided Troy Smith, a Heisman Trophy winner,
Sure.
Cardell Jones. Look what he did.
Mhm.
It's Glenville.
Yeah.
That was the Glenville
And
before.
you mentioned Dante Whitner. It's kind of cool now. He's broadcasting
Yeah,
some games.
for
I'm not sure
San
which network, but
I know he does stuff for San Francisco 49ers still.
okay.
I don't know if
Okay.
he's doing anything national. I don't know,
I
but I
think it
know.
might be with like CBS on college
Okay.
football, like a
Yeah.
CBS Sports
Yeah,
network.
he's got a great life and living in LA and had a great pro career with the Browns as well.
Mhm.
And that he's just one example that he'd be who knows where if he didn't have Ginn in Glenville. That's why I say Ted Ginn's one of the best, greatest person I ever met. Along with, like I said, Jim Tressel was
No
when we
doubt.
started
Yeah.
talking about him. I would, I wouldn't have these kind of relationships if I wasn't in the position that I accidentally fell into.
Oh,
But
that's
and again, I trace it all back to my brother Chuck, who let's start this playbook magazine, and
Mhm.
it got I came back from school when I graduated from Adrian College, which is in the state up north,
Yeah,
which is
right.
like it is, but
Mhm.
I was a nose guard, and it was Baldwin Wallace and Adrian played 50 at the time, and I'm thinking, Browns, Baldwin Wallace, but I had some buddies, and Adrian's really kind of like a pipeline from this area to Adrian. There's been a lot of people, if I started mentioning names that have went there, from Tom Heckert and Bill Davis on, and So I ended up going with my buddy to Michigan. Met some great people at Adrian, and we had a good. We played against Augustana, who was the Mount Union before Mount Union.
Okay.
That's Kenny Anderson was from Augustana. They used to
Okay.
win the championships before Mount Union got involved and started. We had them on the ropes in the playoffs and lost, and that was the closest we got to Division III and in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
I was part of all that as a middle guard, and we just happened to go to stayed up north, and we always used to be Buckeyes, and everybody else was
Right.
Michigan. I thrived on that,
Mhm.
and although we weren't great back then, it was it was Earl Bruce days, I believe. I can't even remember 80 in the 80s, right? I think it was
Yeah.
Earl Bruce, Chris
Mhm.
Spillman and company, and he was around my age growing up. So yeah, we always had that battle, Ohio State, Michigan, and it just kind of you know that's how it was.
No doubt.
But yeah, I had no regrets, going up in Michigan. We had great football, Division III,
Mhm.
and then I came back and got involved with the playbook and just again. And I tell these young kids now, you got guys like Austin Melodic out there and Chris Gunther.
Mhm.
It's all about relationships, man. Don't just
Exactly.
go through the motions. Invest in people,
Mhm.
and it'll come back to you.
Exactly.
It'll come back to you.
Mhm.
And
That's what it's all about.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
what
when you show effort when you show care
Mhm.
and I guess that's what I try to tell these guys. Make yourself known, introduce yourself, say hi, same people. If you go for a couple guys, photographers getting into YC, make sure you say hi to these same people so they know
Right.
who you are. Give them your film, let them know to see your work. um, if I can help out a photographer, because I was afraid to ask for help. I just did my thing and thought, I'd never be like these guys. I worked professional photographers my whole career at
Mhm.
Ohio State, and I thought, man, look at their pictures. I'll never, and then you just say, wait a minute here now,
Now you're that
yeah,
guy.
well, I just, but if I can help, I try to help, some of these guys because a lot of it's being in the right place. And I'm the perfect
Sure.
example. I'm the Forrest Gump here, guys.
Have you ever
Really.
have you ever been taken out in a game?
No, I
No?
haven't. High school either.
Okay.
Because I'm very aware of that.
Okay.
But in Ohio State games, I'm in the end zone. No,
Sure.
that's probably not going to happen unless if it does, I'll get run over by a touchdown catch or something. That's cool with me. But high school games, you just try to, ditch before.
Mhm.
You just don't even play around, and because they ain't worth any injury. Covering a high school game, that's for
Right.
sure.
Right.
No disrespect, but
No,
yeah,
understandable.
if it's close, I got a breaking point. I'm backwards. I
Exactly.
haven't fell over anybody going backwards yet or anything, but yeah, you always think of that, and that's why I try to stay out of the, you know, again, unless you got people that will point and shoots that are sometimes don't know where to go, or most people follow protocol
Okay.
at Ohio State at high school games.
Mhm.
And you just do it, and if I can help somebody, feel free. That's
You
honestly,
just
because
reach
I
out.
never asked myself. So yeah, yeah, I try to help anybody if I can, and never know what'll happen.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, like a picture, that old cliche, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And
Yeah,
that kind of flows from your, previous thing with the playbook
yeah,
to your
yeah,
photography career. Cause really a picture tells a
yeah,
whole story.
yeah. And then if you throw some words at it too, it kind of helps
Mhm.
complete the picture. And um, I just trying to be the best version of myself now for whatever whatever time I have left. And yeah, I'm right now. I'm the best photographer. I'm the best writer. I'm the best dad. And you know, you never know. So that's why we're not promised tomorrow. Hello, but so make the best of today.
No doubt. Do you have one picture or
Well, I do, but I'm cutting you off there because the best picture I have, and I don't have a negative or anything. It was hard copy. Is Jim Tressell's first game coming out of the tunnel, leading the team onto the field against Akron in 2001. That's the best picture that I think if you nailed me down on the picture I like and most proud of, it would be that one.
okay.
If you get into action shots, man, I just have that's the thing. I mean, I have so many pictures, and that's the part that I feel bad. If I had some help with Photoshop people,
Mhm.
because but my theory is at least I have the pictures, even though I don't always get to them for Photoshop to get them out there because you got to put your mark, your crop 'em and put your watermark on them,
Mhm.
and all that takes time. I'm not a Photoshop guy. I mean, it's something you have to do, but yeah. So I got all the pictures and I try to get them out as fast or as soon as I can, or go back and have a photo dump later. And because I know people want um, some people look forward to it, and it is what it is. So
Mhm.
I try to do what I can. It's hard, especially with my situation, because you have to like stop sometimes. You know, I can't go 100% all the time when I'm home, even in front of the computer. I have to, because whenever,
Right.
you just never know. So yeah, I can't really say a football one because I have so many. It really stick out in my mind. Wow. Yeah, there's just too many. Zeke Elliott scoring a touchdown, having number one up at Michigan, coming there at me. That was kind of neat. JT Barrett, first overtime, 2016, came right into my camera. Ended up going second overtime. They'd go back down. If they would have won that game on that, I had the beautiful right in my camera.
Mhm.
He then went down the other end. And he went in the corner
Oh yeah.
and did
That
his
was
thing.
I'm trying to think of his
Number
name. Number
4,
4.
yeah.
Yep.
Again, he's with the
He
Panthers.
plays for
Yeah, I know.
Washington now. I
Yeah,
know that.
Washington, yeah. It's
Curtis
Sam
Samuel.
Adams. Yeah.
Curtis Samuel.
Samuel
Yep.
Adams, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that I had an angle on that one. Not a great picture, but still, the impact is there because it was
Mhm.
two of the great. If I could, greatest games. 2006, Ohio State, Michigan at Ohio State, 1-2, and then great game,
Mhm.
42-39.
Yep.
Ted Ginn, great catch.
Oh yeah.
A couple good returns. And then 2016 was that game. That was 2-3, I think, at the time.
Yes. Yes.
In 2016.
Yes, you're
2 versus
correct.
3.
Yep. Yep.
And that was double overtime. That
Mhm.
had to be, wow. Double overtime, Michigan, 2-3, almost as good as 1-2.
So let me have you since we're just talking Buckeye football now, let me have you call your shot. What do you think the rest of the season looks like for the Buckeyes?
That's kind of like a no-brainer question here for me. You want, even if I'm trying to be honest here, I see, and it's Michigan, so you can't ever rule out a rivalry. And we
Mhm.
saw that even when we lost, Cooper was saying it's the best. Remember the one year we had the best when they lost? I don't
Right.
know, whatever that wasn't popular. Ohio State fans had best effort against losing to Michigan, whatever year that was. I don't remember, but it is. I don't know. Anytime you beat Michigan is good, no matter what.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We'll take it. But do you think we're playing in Indianapolis in
Without question,
about a month?
Without question. And again, that's bias, if you will, but we should be the favorite in every game for sure.
Mhm.
The one at Michigan won't be easy for sure, but then we win that, we go to and it's nice in a way. That's the same weekend as the state finals for the high school
football. Yes.
It's always that same
Mhm.
weekend. So I've missed quite a few that I wouldn't have missed. But I'd rather be in Indianapolis, to be honest with you. And hopefully that'll be the case again this year. And maybe one of the teams that play on Saturday will play Thursday night. I don't know. I usually did take Division II and put them Thursday night and have one on Friday for the state tournament games.
Yes.
So if Springfield or if South Range or JFK, I think we all have a chance to win. A chance. I'm not saying we will.
Sure.
There's a chance. Those are all Saturday games. So,
Okay.
I won't see Springfield local again unless Ohio State doesn't make it to the Big Ten championship.
Okay.
They're on Saturdays. Same with South Range, but Friday games, and that's even hard. Sometimes I went to the Friday afternoon games and they head in Indianapolis for Saturday. So I just play that weekend by ear, But hopefully there'll be some good, some of our local teams from Canfield, who I called this a long time ago.
Yeah.
After seeing Urson play Chardon, I think this is the year to beat Chardon.
Okay.
They won the state title last year. They're good. They're undefeated. They're like Kirtland of Division 3. Kirtland's Division 5. Poor South Range. But I've been on the Canfield beating Chardon bandwagon, and I'm on the South Range beating Kirtland. I can say I saw Kirtland scrimmage. Okay, they're good. They've scrimmaged Poland. Okay, I think South Range could play with this team, and they could beat them. It's kind of optimistic, and it might not happen, but I'll take my chances with Canfield and South Range both, even though everybody's expecting those two teams. No shot against Chardon and no shot against Kirtland.
Okay.
I'm saying they got a shot.
So Canfield's got Chardon this weekend.
Yes.
Chardon's
if they win,
the
winner, that's a state champion.
Okay. All right.
That's it. And that's not far-fetched.
Okay.
And most people think Chardon, and they're going to go on to win another state championship.
Sure.
But I think Canfield could.
And I saw Brock Lowry. I think
I'm a big fan.
He's starting to get recruited. I think he was at Iowa State recently, and starting to get some
Yeah.
offers.
The thing with him, and I've said this, I don't see him as a college quarterback.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair assessment. People ask me why. I go, well, one, he hasn't come up in a quarterback. He'd have to learn how to play the position, period.
Sure.
No matter
Sure.
what he's been taught right now at Canfield. He hasn't been in a quarterback friendly system at all.
Right.
Even if it is now, it's still, I'm sure it's as generic as can be. Is that a fair statement without
Sure.
offending anybody?
Well, Canfield's always been known for the run.
Okay, so but
Mhm.
they throw. I mean,
Mhm.
he's just a great athlete. But what he's good at is moving the chains
Mhm.
on if his feet if he has to, and he can drop a dime
Mhm.
behind you. If you're not, so he can do it all. And the thing I like about him is 3rd and 8, you got a chance because he'll get you 9 yards if he nobody around pulls it and tucks it,
Sure.
or just pick your hole and go. You got a chance for first down.
Okay.
Always got a chance to move the chains with him. I think Canfield has and their defense is better than Ursuline's, right? I would
Right.
say.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And other than 30-0 lead, which they contributed to with
Right.
interception returns and stupid. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Scoreboard's all that matters. Chardon beat Ursuline 30-0. They come back. What,
That turned
3
into a
points,
shootout,
36 or whatever it was. I don't even know what the final 3 points. Canfield's defense a little bit better than Ursuline. I think they'll shut. Because I'm sure they've studied them very well, and they run that mixed up. But see, they're a team that evolved like South Range, and I hate to say this about our local schools that are still teaching in the '80s football.
Yeah, right.
South Range was a I don't even know if they were wing T or whatever they were. They've evolved, man. They call a great offense if you watch. I mean, hello, 2021. Some people are playing in 1985 still in this area.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
Understandable.
Curtin's kind of like that. And Chardon was a wing T offense. He was
Mhm.
Tiger, whatever his name is, Levine, the coach there. He's turned that program. He was a player there, turned it around. I think, Canfield has a better defense than Ursuline. They could play with them offensively. Chardon don't have a star, but they never really kind of do. They have good players. A couple of them going to YSU.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, a receiver and somebody else or YSU players, so we might want to check that out when they play. But I think they could play with them, and I think South Range can play with Kirtland. So we'll see. But I say we have a chance in 3 with Canfield, 4 with Ursuline, 5 with South Range, 6 with Springfield, 7 with JFK. Is any of that off the wall?
No, I don't
Right?
think so. Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
saying
you're
chance.
the expert on
No,
this.
I'm saying
not me.
chance.
Right.
I'm not
right.
saying they're going to win. Or
Sure.
We have a player in every division, 3 through 7, that has a
Mhm.
chance,
No
a legit chance.
Mhm.
Maybe people think I'm whatever.
No, I think that's a fair
But
assessment.
if you look at defensively, Canfield's way better than Ursuline defensively at holding Chardon
Mhm.
down, I think. I'm not saying, because everybody maligns Ursuline's defense like it's nothing, like they don't even have a defense, which is false. And they have good players on offense anyway, including Marcus McElroy and
Right.
quarterback and
a couple of wide receivers. Yeah, they're loaded at the skill position.
And they played well for most of the season,
Mhm.
not all of the season. They had a couple dips in the road. So
Mhm.
they've learned. So we got a chance in 4. We got a chance in every division. Kennedy's probably better than most people know about, and I'm including me. I hear they're good. I haven't seen them. I think they have a chance from what everybody's saying that's followed them.
Sure.
So that gives us a chance in 7. Springfield gives us a chance. We have the best player in Division 6, and he's so good. Bo
Yeah,
Brungard.
talk about him
Oh my
and a
God.
couple of the players. We got about 5 minutes left. So
Okay.
talk about, some of the players you've seen locally and
they're still
some
kicking?
of the
Okay, it Canfield obviously is Brock Lowry. Here,
Mhm.
whatever else they go, while Brock goes. So no offense to anybody else on that team. He's going to take you there. He's got to carry you there, and I think he can. West Branch, I don't know. They're just West. I mean, they don't scare you at all. Poland,
Undefeated though.
Poland, I was so disappointed in everything about that game, including time management on the clock for a lot of it.
And Salem had them on the ropes too.
I'm thinking, come on, this team ain't going to go anywhere. And I thought Poland should have just pounded all game long, just pound and pound and pound and see what happens.
Okay.
And then throw the ball, but they're not a throwing team. We know that. But I thought if Fulton starts beating up people and carrying the ball and start running people over and they just move the ball on the ground. So I don't know if West Branch has a chance. Their quarterback's good. He's a junior. Everybody loves him. Okay. He's okay. I don't see him. He didn't do anything on the wow factor for me. He's an average, serviceable quarterback who throws the ball. Has a couple good receivers. I love South Range from Dominguez to their quarterbacks, Skirpak.
Skirpak, yep.
He's fantastic. They got a lot of weapons on that team, a lot of speed, good defense. 6 is or Springfield. I love everything about Bo Brungard, because if all else fails, there's Bo Brungard. And I don't know if one person can win a game, but boy, when you see him running around, he's just, people bounce off him trying to tackle him when he's running. He could throw the ball. He's developing a nice connection, with a couple of the receivers there. Number
And they
7,
lost
especially
a lot of guys last
Joyce,
year.
number 7. Yeah. So people didn't think he had enough talent around him. I don't know. I think they're pretty good. Bo Snyder's a running back. Bo Brungard gives you a chance no matter what. And he's a great defensive player too, which people don't understand. That's probably the reason why he's back there making sure bad things don't happen in Springfield if all else fails. But when you got guys like Groner and Marshall Yelkin and just guys that on their defensive line and linebackers, they're playing well right now. They lost to Spring. At the beginning of the year, they played Springfield or South Range.
Sure.
I was talking to one of the players on the bench before the game.
Of the year, I think, right?
Before the game, I said, you know what? We're watching warm-ups, and he's sitting on the bench getting a drink. I go, it's going to be a shame if you're playing in the state championship and you're 14-1, and because that was probably the only game that they really had to worry about, I think, in my opinion, especially early on. And it kind of turned out that way. If they make it, they're going to have that. And I always say, I told you, if you win that South Range game, you would have been the first team to go 16-0 or whatever it is now. Like Poland was, I think, at the time they went in 99, they were 14-0. I think if they weren't the first, they were the first day of teams that went 14-0, because I think they just expanded it in 99.
Yep, I think you're right.
So, and Kennedy, I don't know enough to say because I really haven't followed them. They lost.
They
their
seem
man
to turn
last
it
year.
on in the playoffs.
Yeah,
though.
of course. And with Prologo at the helm there, they have some talent. Of course, they lost their great player last year, quarterback, and the running back that went to Air Force. I can't think of his name right now, but Likens.
Yes, Jesse Likens. That's right.
So they lost talent. I said, how can you still be as good as last year when you lose your 2 best players, arguably, on that team? I guess everybody else was pretty good too, and they're back and
waiting in the wings just to reload like the Buckeyes.
I think we have chances in all three through. So it's a shame your school, your Boardman Spartans, can't make the playoffs in 16 teams.
Yeah, that's
16 teams.
I didn't follow. Like I said, I'm not the high school expert.
Yeah,
that's why I like to bring in Steve Leslie and
just the
you.
Fact.
And
they didn't make the playoffs with 16 teams.
Yeah,
Boardman Spartans. Yeah. Really?
That's
really.
And it's going to be.
There's a school that's been underachieving for so long. It's incredible, and they're continuing it.
And I think former coach is now at
Ignazio,
Canfield, right?
Canfield.
Ignazio's at Canfield now, right?
I believe he's on the defensive staff at Canfield, and I think Popio's on the Springfield staff, the older Popio. He's helping them out on Springfield. So there's a couple guys that run Boardman staff last year. But to go 16 teams, and your signature wins, what, Howland? Oh, boy. What a good year Spartans had.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
And their basketball program, the girls, boy, they ruined that in 1 year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I can't speak to that. I'm not, I can't speak to that. I've kind of stepped away from that, but
I sure can.
I unfortunately,
they miss you and Hamilton before you.
Yeah. So, well, I wish, they're from the girls I coached, I think only Emma Mills is left. So I wish her and her team the best, but I don't know what they're looking like this season.
Yeah.
So
not much.
Well, we need to close out. We're coming up on our 5 o'clock programming coming up soon. But Gary, I cannot thank you for being an open book, sharing your story, taking the time to come down here, sharing your knowledge, and the Buckeye stories were awesome. I loved it. That's like one of the coolest parts. So
hopefully we'll get some more interaction this weekend if you make it down there.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said, people that know me, where our tailgate's at, you're more than welcome to stop by and say hello. I mean, you and others, and that people do. And it's just a good time. It's a 3:30 game, so you got a little bit of time as opposed to the 12. Yes. And I kind of like the 3:30 the best because then it's still, game's over about 7:30, press conference over 8:30. If I want to, I could hit the road, but I'm going to spend some time with my daughter. Yeah, and you still get the morning. Whereas 12 o'clock game, I go down the night before because before you wake up, it's you got games in 3 hours, exactly. 2 hours. I try to get there before 9 at least because that's craziness. it's now the end of the year, 12 o'clock game, Michigan State. That'll probably be, well, I don't know, since they blew their great opportunity they had,
Sure.
losing to Purdue.
But Ohio State's gonna face, Purdue, who's 19, Michigan State, who's 7, Michigan, who's 6, and
So they'll
then
have some ranked
the
teams.
Big Ten West
And
champ.
And then people say, well, Cincinnati, well, they play, look, Tulane, and none of these teams are even ranked.
Yeah, and Tulsa almost got him. Tulsa
Yeah,
almost
that's
got him
what I
this
mean.
weekend.
Yeah, this past week, and so good for them. But they know that. I mean,
Mhm.
if you go to Cincinnati, you're not in a Power 5 school. That's your choice.
Sure.
I mean, unfortunately, is with Luke Fickell, great guy. I mean, look what he's done for that program after Brian Kelly was there. He resurrected that program, but you're not in. It's just how it is, and you look at their competition, you can't put them in ahead of teams that are playing, big time football.
Exactly.
Whether it's Ohio State or the team up. I'm not saying we're a sweep and we're guaranteed to beat, Michigan, but
you
you got to go there, and that's what's fun because nothing better than silence
Exactly
in the big house.
Take care of your business
Yes.
and get to the playoff
it's
again.
like you could hear an echo in there, and we've been pretty good at it. Other than the 2 years,
No doubt.
3-11, we've I've seen a lot of good victories in the big house as well as our home.
It is fun to go on the road and grab a win.
And we didn't play last year. Come on,
I
man.
know.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's just shame. And that was at Ohio State too, obviously.
Mhm.
And even years at Ohio State, odd years at Michigan. So it is what it is. But I think we had a good season ahead of us for
I agree
down the
with you.
stretch. And like I said, I don't know. I hate to circle back to this, but the Browns won in 64. Maybe they'll be the year, and I get the Buckeyes and the Browns, and I make my exit, and everything's all good.
Gary, let's just first of all, my best wishes to you,
Thank you. I appreciate
your family, your health.
Yeah.
Thanks
And
again.
I'm very grateful. Let me please say that I don't know where the camera I'm looking at, but I'm
right here.
so grateful for everything, and especially my relationships with people and everything that everybody's done for me. I mean, I count my blessings every day, and I just very thankful I could be a memory by now, and I'm still here doing what I'm doing, and hopefully I make someone's day when they see their picture on wherever, and just why not? I mean, try to make the most of a bad situation, but it's been a great situation as well, and I'm just day to day.
Right.
And I thank you for
absolutely. Well, and I know, from some of the players I've coached, I know their parents have appreciate you kind of telling their story, via photographs and pictures and things like that. And I've been thankful to kind of keep up with them through that as well. So,
and I make great players, girls and guys, and the girls don't get as much coverage as the guys.
Exactly.
So I'm a girl dad. I have no problem, man. And it's some of my best friends are the moms. I'll be honest with you, and they know, man. I have a lot of my relationships start out when they're younger, and you just communicate with people, and they end up making great friendships with I have a lot of mom friends, believe it or not, that hopefully as time goes on or whatever, those pictures and those things that I've invested in them will something they'll be cherished in memory for a long time because of Facebook. Luckily, we didn't have Facebook back in the day.
Right.
We did a lot of bad things, I'm sure, that people don't even realize now.
Right.
But it's so different now, this whole world. So it is what it is, and you got to make the best of any situation.
Oh yeah, but I know from firsthand experience that they appreciate that and all you do. So
thank you,
Gary. Again, best wishes. Good luck to you. We'll see you in the shoe to play Notre Dame next season, and at your birthday party next season.
And
what
following
Bedford
Notre
Trails?
Dame game after at Notre Dame.
Exactly.
If I make it there, I'm good.
Very good.
I'll be the happiest guy going.
We are praying for you, and best wishes. Go Buckeyes, go Browns. Good luck to our high school teams. And again, we want to say thank you to our veterans out there as well. So for Gary, I'm Justin. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you. We'll see you next week. Go Bucks.
Thank you for listening.
Good job, Gary. Thank you.
Hope I didn't sound like a broken record.
No. You know what? Like, to me, that's the best.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us. Thank you.